Hi! Any game gets better if you can play it with friends. For those looking for a great co-op game, I've compiled 20 new co-op games. The first one is Ship of Fools. It's a co-op simplistic sea travel-themed roguelike, where two friends try to stop a catastrophe and save their archipelago from sea monsters. Here, two friends will search for the lost islands, fight against various monsters with the help of powerful guns, look for mysterious artifacts, and save the world from disaster. Meet Your Maker, online first-person shooter. According to the story, the near future has turned the planet into a blazing hell, and the few survivors are building super-protected bases where the resources necessary for survival are stored. To protect them, you need to build a lot of traps. Here, each player designs their own unique base with dangerous traps, turrets, patrolling monsters, labyrinths, and other tricks that make it difficult for another player to pass. The goal of the attacker is to steal the resource. The goal of the defense is to kill the player and prevent the material from being stolen. Successful sorties will unlock new abilities and new deadly traps. The King of Fighters 15. An excellent fighting game for those who are not afraid of difficulties. If you're not familiar with the series, then this is definitely the best entry point. The variety of characters is one of the main advantages of the game. In the local roster, it is difficult to choose 3 main characters for yourself. Everyone is so good. Despite the fact that the game is extremely difficult, it is friendly to beginners. The novelty is made on Unreal Engine 4. Will offer a new story campaign with epic events, as well as 4 dozen characters, including veterans of the series and newcomers. SnowRunner, SUV driving simulator in difficult terrain. The player will play as a driver making his way through the off-road to his destination alone or in the company of 3 friends. Due to the fact that the whole point of SnowRunner is to move forward behind the wheel of a car as accurately as possible, the game is not very dynamic. However, this does not make it less stressful. It will not be easy to make your way off-road. In addition to tasks for the delivery of goods, others will also meet, for example, scanning the area, delivering products, helping with repairs and construction, retrieving sunken containers, garbage collection, and other assignments. Monster Hunter Rise. This is a role-playing slasher, where alone or in co-op up to 4 players, we will fight against huge monsters, and new armor and weapons will be made from the obtained trophies. This time we find ourselves in a Japanese village, the only center of civilization that has survived after a global catastrophe. The village is constantly attacked by various monsters and we have to protect it. Players can travel through a seamless world, craft equipment and weapons at the base, and hire pets. Monsters are initially stronger than players, and it is extremely difficult to defeat them. Sniper Elite 5. Continuation of the sniper shooter with elements of stealth. The gameplay is authentic to the canons of the series and offers to show the skill of disguising and destroying opponents in stealth mode. Sniper art still depends on the ability of shooters to competently use a long-range rifle. Snipers must choose their positions correctly, adjust the reticle, select stocks, barrels, and also take into account the strength of the wind. In a cooperative passage for 2 players, you can share first aid kits and ammunition. In survival mode, 4 players are already fighting off the attacking waves of opponents. In PvP mode, 16 players converge at once in a deadly duel, with the distribution of awards and medals for accurate shooting. Aliens Fireteam Elite. Third-person co-op action shooter set in the Alien universe. Here, 3 players in the face of Marines will have to fight alien monsters in 4 story campaigns. Instead of one terrible xenomorph, the Marines will have to get acquainted with 20 types of creatures and a dozen especially dangerous monsters. Each enemy has its own pattern of behavior, giving priority to ambushes and surprise attacks on players who are lagging behind or rushing ahead. In addition, some creatures cannot be defeated, so the survivors will have to play as a team and distribute classes. Returnal, dynamic roguelike third-person shooter in a sci-fi setting. Players have to survive and fight on a hostile planet that changes with every death. The protagonist of the game, the pilot of a spaceship, makes an emergency landing on an unknown planet, the inhabitants of which are hostile to the intruder. Strange phenomena create a time loop, constantly changing the world around us and creating new problems. The game uses a procedurally generated world that changes every cycle of the time loop, changing not only the environment, but also the available items, expanding abilities and opening up new approaches to the passage. Ghost Watchers, a cooperative horror game in which thrill-seekers visit sinister abandoned buildings and try to find and capture the ghosts that inhabit them. This is an extremely dangerous entertainment because in addition to the souls of suicides, the ghosts of various demons live there. In 4-player co-op, we will explore various objects, and various ghosts will confront us. The players are armed with a couple of dozen tools with which you can find evidence and determine the aura of the ghost. Before capturing a ghost, it is necessary to study, determine its gender, age, and cause of death. The Ascent is a top-down cyberpunk shooter designed for both solo and co-op play. Here, players find themselves in the middle of a huge metropolis inhabited by creatures from all over the galaxy. Players must explore the city, improving and developing their hero, acquiring new types of weapons and skills. The hero can also install various cybernetic improvements, make new acquaintances in different parts of the city, and all this is for the sake of survival in a world that is collapsing before our eyes, where gangs and sinister corporations are trying to take all power into. Police Patrol Simulator in a small American town. We will move up the career ladder, starting with issuing parking tickets and regulating traffic. In the future, we will have to patrol several large urban areas, catch thieves, help young children find their parents, stop the sale of drugs and chase teenagers who paint graffiti on the walls. Co-op mode gives 2 players a patrol car, with the ability to go to challenges and pursue lawbreakers. Evil West, painkiller-style fast-paced, co-op third-person shooter set in a dark, supernatural Wild West universe full of monsters. Here we will act as one of the last agents of a top-secret organization of vampire hunters. Our arsenal includes numerous firearms, lightning-charged gloves, and gadgets. As you progress through the story campaign, unlock new weapons, traps, and skills that greatly increase the effectiveness of the fight against monsters. Star Wars Squadrons, online action from the first person in the universe of Star Wars, dedicated to galactic battles on starships. The player will assume the role of a fighter pilot of one of the conflicting parties. There are 4 classes of ships in the game: fighters, interceptors, support, and bombers. There are 50 components available for leveling the starship that improve various ship mechanisms, for example, weapons, engines, shields, repairs, and more. Outriders, dynamic shooter, with the possibility of cooperative passage for 3 players. The action takes place on a fantastic planet where people live in difficult conditions. Players need to take on the role of the Pathfinders and go deep into the planet to investigate a mysterious signal that comes from an unknown location. The Pioneer can be chosen from the 4 classes presented. Each character will have their own skill development system. The user can improve his character in any way by buying powerful weapons and equipment. Far Cry 6. This time, the action of the game takes place in the fictional country of Yara, where the local dictator is forced to defend power from the onslaught of rebels. The novelty will offer the largest gaming area in the history of the series, in which there is a place for several cities and settlements, as well as a chic jungle where the forces of the rebels and their military equipment are concentrated. Players will be able to create their own weapons, train pets, and ride cars. The entire story campaign can be completed in co-op with a friend, and progress will be saved only by the host, and the second player will save only inventory and experience points. Marauders. The action of this game takes place in the alternative 90s, where the Earth is industrialized to the limit and many are forced to flee to the stars. Space piracy is rampant and the crews of many ships are increasingly being attacked. In the role of space mercenaries, players will go in search of resources necessary for the survival of civilization. The gameplay is a first-person shooter with PvE and PvP modes, as well as single or cooperative passage for up to 4 players. Smalland, a survival simulator in which players cross puddles, run away from flies and spiders, and build houses out of leaves. In 10-player co-op, you will have to find or build shelters, make weapons and primitive armor. As players survive, they will unlock new items and even learn how to ride various bugs. I advise you to try it if you like Grounded. Dying Light 2, a neat sequel to the first part, which went through production hell, but at the same time did not lose and even increased the best that was in the original. Graphics, parkour, storyline, and especially new combat mechanics. This is the best open-world parkour game so far. There are 3 main factions that you can join in the game. Co-op parkour is designed for 2 or 4 players to explore the city and complete dozens of dangerous tasks, some of which are activated only at night. As in the original, survivors need to collect all sorts of trash and resources and make awesome types of melee weapons from components, strengthen them with household appliance components, and even parts of unique zombies. Sons of the Forest, continuation of the popular survival horror. In the new part, we go to an equally creepy island in order to find the missing billionaire. Traditionally, the search turns into a nightmare, and a group of heroes have to escape from the cannibals. You can play in co-op with up to 8 players. The process of survival in the wild combines the metabolic systems of the human body and environmental conditions. For example, at night the temperature drops and players need to build a fire and warm themselves with hot food. Depending on the season, the conditions for obtaining food and materials change. In the summer it is recommended to harvest meat and fish, otherwise there will simply be nothing to eat in the winter. Elden Ring is a third-person action role-playing game set in a dark fantasy setting and open world. The world is interesting to explore. Everywhere you can stumble upon caves and various buildings. There is something everywhere and you run from place to place. It is especially fun to run at night. You find small bosses, interesting enemies, good loot, and it doesn't bother you. Then you go into a big castle and the classic Dark Souls begins with multi-level locations. True, thanks to the jump, there are more non-obvious paths for research, and this is very good. You can invite a friend to your world and go through a story campaign with him in co-op, or participate in PvP mode, invading other people's games. That's all, thank you for watching. Your like and subscription will be the best gratitude. The Image Game channel was with you, have a good day.